asked about how to do this question and why it was incorrect, so I'm going to go through it now. And please, 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 dear ones, if you don't understand any question, please upload it and I can verbally go through it with you. So it says the coordinates are this, and point M is the midpoint of A and B. Line 1 is through A and B, line 2 is perpendicular to line 1. Write down the equation of line 2. Okay, so the first thing we always do for straight lines is calculate the gradient. We're going to first of all calculate the gradient of L1. We need to do the difference in y's, so we do 2, which is this number here, minus 7, which should become a positive, divided by minus 6 minus 6. So that's going to give us 9 over minus 12, which simplifies to minus 0.75 or minus 3/4. But what you need to do then is you need to find the gradient of L2. And we know that line 1 times line 2 should give you minus 1, because when we're dealing with perpendicular lines, this rule always works. So this means we need to take the fraction minus 3/4, which is the same as minus 0.75, flip it and change the sign. So the gradient of line 2 is going to be 4 over 3. Now we need to work out what the intercept is. The first thing you need to do is you need to write down the equation of a straight line, y equals mx plus c, and that is actually given to you in the question here. We know that we've got specific values of y and a specific value of x. So we need to replace y and x with something and m with something in order to find out what c is. M is quite obvious because m is going to be the gradient, which is this number here. And then in terms of y and x, we can work that out because y and x is to do with one of the points on the line. Well, we only know one point, and that point is the midpoint. So we need to also calculate the midpoint of the line. So the midpoint is going to be the following, this sum here. x1 plus x2, 6 plus minus 6, that's going to give us the x coordinate, which is clearly going to be 0, because 6 minus 6 is 0. Anything that divides 0 will always give you 0 unless it's 0 divided by 0, and then that's not quite possible at your stage of maths. And then we're going to do the y values. 2, which is y value here, plus minus 7. And then we're going to divide by 2. We are going to have minus 2.5. So our midpoint is going to be 0 minus 2.5. So now we're going to replace the y and the x in this question with 0 minus 2.5. So we're going to have the following. Minus 2.5 equals 0m plus c. And actually in this question we didn't need to calculate the gradient because the gradient ended up getting cancelled out. So all this step here was unnecessary. So if you sort of planned the question before you did it, you would have realised it wasn't necessary. Now we need to think about the second step of this problem. So we've almost finished it, to be honest. All we need to do now is replace c in the equation with minus 2.5. So our equation becomes y equals 4/3 x plus c, and we know c is minus 2.5, so we can get rid of the plus and change it to a minus. Also, please be aware, write this as a proper fraction, and what I mean by that is the following. And also, if you want to write this as a decimal instead, that's absolutely fine, but make sure if you're writing 1.3 recurring, which is what this fraction is, you put a dot above the 3. So for completeness, I'm going to just include this into my equation, and using a tool called MathsPix, I can select it and it can change it into typed text for me, which is a really cool tool if you wanted to change your maths work into typed pictures. So this is our final answer. Y equals 4/3 x minus 2.5.